Okay, wonderful. Welcome everyone to Spring MAXI 2021. My name is Amy Steinbicker and I am the Executive Administrator for the DMAW EF. And I'm joined today by our event coordinators. We have Courtney Lewis, who is President of the DMAW EF Board of Directors. And we have Leanne Doyle, who also serves on our board. Begin our virtual competition with presentation one, which is our team from American University. Before the team gets started, I want to introduce our judges. We have three judges today: Stephanie Musser of Mindset Direct, Les Markman of PMG, and Katie Seeger of CCAH. Judges, if you are all set, we'll go ahead and let American University get started.
Awesome. For real this time. So again, good morning, everybody. Thank you to our organizers and our judges for being here. My team and I are very excited to present this morning. My name is Grace Engler. I am joined by Festisha Boval, Elena Rivera, and Elizabeth Brudman. And today we're going to be getting into our WWF fundraising campaign proposal. So to start things off, I will walk us through our agenda. We're going to go through the campaign analysis and company overview. We're going to take you through a little bit of our research and our pre-work in developing this campaign. We're then going to get into the target audience and personas we've developed, followed by the creative strategy and some of our collateral and assets. And finally, we'll discuss our budget. So to start things off, our main objective behind generating this campaign is to build on the momentum generated by the Online Action Center. In the brief and in our research, we found that the Action Center was hugely successful in terms of engaging online activists, sharing social media posts, signing petitions, getting that online engagement. The only issue is that it has not been able to convert online environmental activists into donors. So through this campaign, that's what we're hoping to do, to really capitalize on that momentum and convert these online activists into lifelong donors. Getting into our SWOT analysis, to start off with the strengths, one thing that we found is that the WWF has a very active presence on social media. It's a household name, very popular organization, and has strong relationships with online activists, as indicated in the objective slide. The success of the Action Center is also something to include, and there's a very strong brand awareness. Like I said, it's a popular organization. Everybody knows who they are, what they do, and why they do it. Moving on to their weaknesses, while the Action Center is something to applaud, it still isn't doing enough to compel users to donate. And with that, there's still some work to be done in terms of generating a more positive brand image, and the specifics of those I will get into once I address the threats. Moving on to opportunities, as you'll see in some of our collateral examples, we think that there's a huge opportunity to expand partnerships and develop a deeper brand perception. And with that comes developing relationships with millennial and Gen Z donors. And by doing that through different social media channels and engaging with different celebrities and influencers, we think that that's a very worthwhile step in engaging online activists and turning them into lifelong donors. Moving on to threats, obviously, as I'm sure we are all very sick of hearing about, there's COVID's impact on spending habits and people's, sort of lack of desire to really spend, their disposable income on charitable donations. So with that kind of comes the negative news coverage that I addressed in the weaknesses. And namely, in our research, we found that WWF's association with some paramilitary groups in other countries kind of left a sour taste in some consumers' mouths. And specifically in the United States, the acceptance of climate change, as it's become a very politicized and polarizing issue, that has kind of been, a hurdle in terms of developing, a thorough campaign, because there are people who don't necessarily believe in the mission of the WWF.
So the target audience we have chosen for this campaign are environmental activists who are actively searching for ways to become involved in the preservation of the environment and educating others. We are also trying to target potential donors who are adults with disposable income and are involved in social issues. Social media mavens are also part of our target audience because they are people who have a rather large following on social media and are able to persuade followers in joining movements that are genuine to them. They also have a platform to educate others on matters that are important to them. So our first audience profile is Rachel. Rachel is a graduate student pursuing her MS in environmental science. She is highly involved in campus activities, and she is a member of many environmental clubs and communities and volunteers her times to educate others on pressing subjects. Her goals include making an impact on the environment and persuading others to educate themselves on the environment and build a career in environmental science. Her values include being environmentally conscious, eco-friendly, and she's a liberal, and she values human rights. Some challenges include balancing her career and her activism, and she's also facing student loan debt. Her pain points are that she fears not being able to balance her activism, career, and education, and she needs to pay off her loans. So some objections Rachel has is that she has limited income and that might make it hard for her to be a donor. Her social media habits are that she follows a large variety, that she follows news on a large variety of outlets. She's active on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and she follows many organizations. Our next profile are Joe and Sarah, who are a newlywed couple, not yet considering having kids. They love to hang out with friends and travel in the free time, and they are politically active and informed on social issues. Their goals are to grow their career before starting a family. Their values, they value human rights, social issues, are eco-friendly and liberally inclined. Some challenges that they have are balancing their work, their hobbies, and their social lives. Some pain points are that they don't believe that giving money is the best solution, and they want to see how their money is making a direct change. Some objections that they have are that they believe that big organizations these days only care about capitalist gain. Their media habits are that they are active on Facebook and Instagram, and they follow a variety of news sources and celebrities. Our next audience profile is Rob, who is a college student that enjoys spending time with friends and participating in campus activities. He participates in many hobbies and is very active on social media. He identifies himself as a micro-influencer since he has few sponsors on his social media. He has goals of becoming large on social media, and he wants to be followed by people who resonate with him. He also wants to send a positive message through his account. He values being eco-friendly, the education, human rights, and he is also politically left-leaning. Some of his challenges are that he has limited income and he probably won't be able to donate as much as he wants. Some pain points are that he fears of losing his popularity or relevance on social media due to his activism. An objection he has is that he believes that social media should show his authentic self, so he wouldn't want to share something that he isn't very passionate about. His media habits include that he is active across all social media platforms, and he follows many influencers and keeps up with celebrity news and global news and posts very regularly.
When it comes to our creative strategy, we've chosen to use social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, partnering with the brand Ecosia, and also using emails and banner ads that would be helpful to reach our target audience. Overall, we've been able to notice that a lot of our target audience and a lot of the people who would be able to donate to WWF would be active on social media and definitely value the fact that they'll be able to make a direct change to the environment. And here are 3 campaigns that we believe would be the most helpful. And we've chosen to do Protecting Our Future, and using social media platforms, we would be able to encourage users to spread the word about protecting our future and showing that they will be able to have a direct impact once they become a donor and once they become a consistent, helpful person when it comes to donating to WWF. And our hashtag Commit to Change will also be a way to spread WWF's message and be able to encourage other users and other potential donors to gain this sense of wanting to commit to change and wanting to commit to WWF's message about helping the environment.
And lastly, our partnership with Ecosia. Ecosia is an app which uses ad revenue from user searches to plant trees where they're needed the most. And this is particularly important because once target audiences are able to join the app and also be partnered with WWF, they're already able to have that start where they're able to change the environment and also go on with making sure that they have a direct impact over time. And while they're in the app, they'll be able to be rewarded with things like badges and other rewards that help them become consistent donors. And here are just a few of our collateral assets and basically a lot of the posts that we would use to make sure that our hashtag commit to change would be a consistent, widespread hashtag that people would be interested in and want to learn more about.
So our first post would be a Twitter post in this case. It would obviously come from the WWF Twitter account. You see the caption on the left. I mean, it's the same thing. It's a Twitter post. It kind of gets the hashtag commit to change message out there. It includes the call to action, and it really is our first, step in getting a sponsored post out into, the specific social media channel.
So just running through the rest of our collateral and assets. This is our Instagram post. You can see the copy of the ad on the left and the visual on the right. And the visual features Giselle Bundchen, which would be a celebrity endorser of the Commit to Change campaign. And we want to use these endorsers to reach their vast audience so we can reach as many people as possible. To make a difference for the environment. Similarly, for the Instagram story, we want to have an interactive post that prompts the audience to learn more about the organization and furthermore donate. And we want them to know the 6 concentrations that the organization works to protect, which includes climate, food, forests, fresh water, oceans, and wildlife. So each story post would focus on the polls and test knowledge of the users and ultimately call them to donate to the organization. So again, for the Facebook post, we are using the Commit to Change hashtag uniformly throughout our collateral. And again, using a celebrity endorser as the main visual, prompting them to visit the website, making a difference by donating so we can all commit to change and protect the environment. Lastly, we have our mail and email collateral, which is more detailed, kind of includes the visuals between the 6 concentrations of the organization. And again, making sure that they know what the organization is doing to protect the earth and prompting them to donate and making that difference. And then for banner ads, this would just be a large visual that includes these concentrations and the celebrity endorsers. Again, wanting to reach out to their vast audience to reach as many people as possible on a global scale. And you can see there's Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Greta Thunberg, and Giselle Bundchen that could be in the mix.
So how are your donations making a direct impact? Through the Ecosia website, users are able to build their own forest and choose exactly what cause they want their forest to help. People can donate from 5 trees to up to 40 trees. Ecosia is also very active on social media, and on Instagram, they are constantly showing the process of planting trees and the progress of the trees growing. They keep this social media post right here that I included is a screenshot of a post from December 23 where Ecosia is thanking donors and showing them that thanks to their searches in 2020, they were able to plant 100 million trees and they were able to sign their 100th tree planting contract.
So to address our budgeting, we have a total cost of just under $100,000 for the collateral and assets, which include the direct mail, banner ads, and email ads. And then going to the next slide, we can see that between the response rates of each campaign collateral and the average gift from them, there would be a total net revenue of about 2.3 million. And just to clarify, this budget does not include the cost of attaining a celebrity endorser, just because it would have to be agreed upon when we get to that bridge. But we want to allocate and recommend that this campaign budgets an additional 100,000 to attain 2 or 3 celebrity endorsers, depending on their cost of using their likeness in the campaign. But with a net revenue of 2.3 million, the additional 100,000 to maximum 200,000 would still, make a good difference, and the campaign would be successful. So thank you for your time today, and we would like to open the floor to any questions you may have.
Well, thank you for the presentation. That was very well done, very informative. I'm just from a more general standpoint, just wanted to find out what your interest is that brought you to participate in this.
Sure.
And for everybody and anybody.
I can start with that, and then I can pass the baton. I accepted an advertising internship for this summer at a firm in Manhattan. So when this project, is assigned, to everybody in the course, and the rest of the class votes, on the whichever presentation that they want to see, go to the final. And even kind of before that, I had known, like, I've always had an interest in advertising, and specifically based on like my internship experience with social media, I was thinking like, okay, like how can I, expand on this? How can I apply things that I've learned in a professional sense into an academic sense, and then, get a chance to kind of exhibit that and like compete like that. That's not an opportunity that, you really get every day. Like, this is the first marketing class that I've had at AU where there's been an opportunity to compete. So I think that definitely kind of, when you see the phrase cash prize in a brief, it kind of is like, all right, maybe I think I'm into this. I'm mostly kidding, but I definitely think that, getting the opportunity to apply what I've learned academically and professionally in a competition setting, that's definitely what drove me to want to participate.
Good.
Just to add on, I think on a similar note to Grace, I have a marketing minor and I'm PR major, so kind of, wanting to explore the marketing aspect a little bit more. And in the same way that marketing, you have to pitch your clients and to attain your business, and that's the same thing in PR. So it's great practice and a great opportunity to, try to make the best campaign for your client. So more of a practical sense than just an academic opportunity.
Just to add on to what Elizabeth and Grace said, I think we all had the same like interest in being able to apply like what we've learned in our classrooms, and also just knowing that I have a marketing minor as well as Elizabeth and a PR major, and knowing that this is also a hands-on experience, and being able to prepare with my team as well, I think is another experience that is very similar to what happens in the professional world, where you have to work with the team and getting to know the best methods when it comes to advertising and when it comes to making sure that your message stands out. So I was definitely very excited to have this experience and being able to also say like I've had experience with planning out what a campaign should look like, and what our main message would be, in like our target audience, and all of the elements that were included in our presentation, essentially.
Yeah, I want to agree with everyone. I think we're all on the same career path, so that's what made us a good group, because we're all like very passionate about marketing. And I also want to say that the subject was genuinely interesting to me because I'm an environmental activist, and I believe that we're facing an environmental crisis. So to be able to work on something so important was very genuine to me.
Good. Yeah, from my perspective, I think you'll find that if you stay involved in fundraising or active in the nonprofit industry, you'll find that it's worthwhile, it's life-changing, and it's something that you'll feel like whatever you're doing in life, you're not just doing it for you, but you're giving back, and that's important. So really appreciate your enthusiasm, and I'll shut my mouth now.
Hi, everyone. First of all, I wanted to thank you so much for your time this morning. I really enjoyed the visuals in the presentation. Great job. I wanted to ask you a question because the celebrity endorsers were a backbone of your strategy. Were there any particular campaigns of any other nonprofit organizations that you followed or checked out that used celebrity endorsers that you kind of used as a model when you were setting up your strategy for WWF?
I don't think there was a particular campaign, but we've talked a lot about the impact that influencers in general have, not just and for the nonprofit space, but for just in a general marketing sense. And we talk about this a lot in our classes too, how influencers really can drive their viewers to do what they're interested in too, and be kind of act as a role model. So we really wanted to tap into that and leverage their fan base, especially because these particular celebrities are already so adamant about protecting the environment.
All right, thanks.
Are there any other questions from our judges?
Actually, regarding the celebrities, is that 100,000 the cost to acquire them to participate, or is that a cost for production in order to produce audiovisual messages that would be broadcast out via the different mediums?
It would be for both. So we would expense their travel, and it would depend on their willingness. That's why it's kind of up in the air. But we wanted to allocate an additional 100,000 because we wouldn't be sure until we spoke with the celebrity if maybe they want to do it for free because they want to make an impact and agree with the messaging of the campaign, or they might require some money to make that happen. And based on our research, that could range from like $40,000 to $60,000. So it just depends. But yes, that would include kind of the expenses for travel and budget and production, as well as attaining the endorser if required.
Thank you.
One more question regarding the audience selection. Can you tell me a little bit more about what audience you would envision for the direct mail piece and the email series? Is it strictly the influencers that you would gain from the social Instagram campaigns, or would there be additional audience that you would plug in there for conversion?
Yes, so I think that would include more of our potential donors, those who I mentioned earlier that are adults with disposable income. So they're the ones who will be receiving the mail, and also the ones who from the social media mavens, the followers that the donors that we gain from them.
Thanks.
Don't have any other questions, then it's time for us to wrap up. And I'd like to thank American University for serving as presentation number 1 today. I would also like to thank our judges for being here with us today, Stephanie, Les, and Katie. On behalf of the DMAW EF Board of Directors, thank you so much for serving as our judges today. American University, you are free to go. Remember that we'll be sharing the results of the competition within the next couple of days. And judges, you may remain in the meeting and turn off your video and audio so you may begin scoring the first presentation. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Great. Well, welcome everyone to Spring Maxi 2021. My name is Amy Steinbicker, and I'm the Executive Administrator for the DMAW EF. And I'm joined by our event coordinators. We have our President of the DMAW EF, the Board of Directors, that is. Her name is Courtney Lewis, and we have Leanne Doyle, who's also serving on our board. We're ready now for presentation 2, which is our team from Salisbury University. Before the team gets started, I would like to introduce our judges. We have 3 judges with us today: Stephanie Musser of Mindset Direct, Les Markman of PMG, and Katie Seeger of CCAH. Judges, if you are all set, we'll let Salisbury University get started.
Good morning, judges. I want to thank you for taking the time to hear our presentation today. Next slide, please. I would like to start by introducing myself and our team. I'm Chris Giuliani.
I'm Erin Bourne.
I'm Tyler.
Next slide, please. As we present today, please keep this quote in mind. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. Mahatma Gandhi. Next slide, please. Throughout our campaign, we believe that we will reach roughly 3.3 million supporters, giving us an estimated ROI of 109%. Next slide, please.
Now for this project, we're looking to hold a lead conversion campaign and re-engage WWF's target audience. WWF's organization is worldwide, which means they have an extremely broad audience. So we segmented our campaign toward people that sign petitions through WWF's Action Center, but have yet to make donations. We found statistics from the petitions on WWF's website and sectioned each group based on one of their 6 main areas. The 2 main causes that we ended up finding most significant were wildlife crime and plastic pollution, with close to 1 million signatures each. So we're basing our campaign off of these topics to gain momentum with our target audiences. And now each deliverable that we send out will look entirely different for everybody based upon what they supported in the past. So for example, if Tyler were to sign a petition for wildlife crime, all of his deliverables will be entirely relevant to the wildlife crime. Now, our activists that we're reaching have already put in efforts for WWF's causes, so we can assume that activists capture majority of our target audience. Next slide, please.
As we give you guys our SWOT analysis, we realize we can go into depth with our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, but we really wanted to focus on strengths and opportunities. Since you guys have started in 1961, you guys have had years of successful events with lots of emotional draw. As well as we move on to opportunities, we really want to capture using past annual events, which were a success while they're in person, but adapting them to the COVID life of today. People are still going to be stuck in their homes for a while, but they can still write a check and donate while watching Tiger King or baking bread.
Really, our problem here is that 10 million activists signed petitions, and we need to convert them to paying donors. And how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to meet them where they are. So we assume that WWF has tracked in their database how petitions were signed, whether that was in person, through email, through social media. And then we're going to reach out to them through the same medium or for a donation. So you can see in this pie chart how we'll section it off. We're going to reach 59% of our audience through social media for a higher reach that's more cost effective and give quicker responses. We're also going to reach 22% of our audience through text because there's a 98% readability rate, which also means there's going to be high visibility. Additionally, 15% of all of our activists will receive emails for the fact that they might prefer communication through email over social media or text. And then lastly, we're going to direct 4% of our audience through direct mail and follow up for those who are the least comfy donating online. Next slide, please. So we're going to kick off our campaign with a drawing contest for kids. And what's their prompt? To show us what the Earth is going to look like in 60 years if we don't take care of it. And the winning drawing is going to be used in all further social media messages, emails, and an image-changing direct mail piece. It'll create an emotional connection with parents and grandparents, and it's going to make people stop and think, what on earth are we doing to our planet? So we'll additionally celebrate WWF's 60th anniversary by making a Through the Decades social media post series to show people how WWF has made a difference in the past, but also inspire people to make a difference with WWF for the future. And we'll finally show activists WWF's solution to plastic pollution, and we'll reference that later in our presentation. Next slide, please.
So as we circulate into the campaign flowchart, we really want to give you guys a full week-to-week overview of the campaign. Starting in April, the first week is going to be filled with mostly pre-promotions and social posts. And as we get to the big day, the second week kicks off the drawing contest and the live stream, following up with some wrap-up thank yous from our wonderful supporters. Here we give you a split between May and June. And in the beginning of May, the winner's announced, and then also we have a mailer going out. During the first week of June, we also have our glass bottle mailer campaign. As we kick off our heavy social media stampede with a Through the Day social media campaign, we really want to highlight WWF turning 6 years old, highlighting each decade with their top accomplishments. So WWF doesn't take your money and run, but rather turns your donation into actionable events and programs, such as cleaning the Nurko Lake, as you'll see in the flamingo picture, in Kenya during the 80s, or partnering with a retail giant in the early 2000s with Walmart, improving their sustainability. And you'll see on the right, we've included an example of a pay-per-click ad, which is one of the 3 styles of promotions. Other 2 are partnering with influencers across all platforms, as well as, last but not least, donating. People can donate through the pre and day of email campaigns. Coming off that 6-day social media campaign that starts on April 22nd, it leads us to the big day on the 29th. WWF turning 6 years old. So the best of both worlds starts with Earth Day and drawing, of course. Generational connection is a cornerstone of this campaign, as if when we were all kids, our parents wouldn't have given 2 hoots about a random drawing of a polar bear, but that smile on our young faces and honestly the pure joy that came from that, sometimes non-proportionate polar bears you see here, that's what made them care. Today, 22% of parents are more environmentally friendly when they have kids. So that's where we want to kick off the campaign funnel. Asking kids, what would the world be like if we don't stop plastic pollution today? The event will be streamed on platforms for kids to follow along as, such as YouTube, the up-and-coming TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We'll also include special guests from the WWF Conservation and Classroom, promoting cross-company collaboration. With the live streams, we'll mostly be targeting families, but most importantly, factoring in reaching people who have already signed petitions with WWF, which account for over 2 million people. Donations can be made via text, which is our #1 choice because they have a 98% open rate and a 45% response rate. And then the other donation tools can be live streaming directly on the platforms, website links, and call-ins. Following the event, about a week later, as seen in the flow chart, the winner will be announced, and we will also use that photo for further down the line in the campaign. Now, I don't know about you, but my masterpiece is always headed straight to the Fridge Museum, giving the chance for my sweet grandmother and more family to see it. So as we move into phase 2, we really want to highlight that winner from the drawing contest into a direct mail campaign.
The winning drawing from the kids contest will be the centerpiece of this direct mailer, with the intent of making an emotional connection with parents and grandparents who will be able to see the future of the planet through their children's or grandchildren's eyes. When they pull the slider, they'll be able to see an image of a polar bear covered in oil, which would make anyone think, what on earth are we doing to our planet? The QR code is conveniently placed for them to scan directly after opening, which will take them to World Wildlife Foundation's donation page. This was done to ensure that not a second is lost from their initial thought of potentially donating to actually making the commitment. Next slide, please. Throughout our campaign, we will be maximizing every dollar spent when reaching our projected 3.3 million people who support World Wildlife Foundation. At the conclusion of our campaign, we believe that we'll make roughly $20,000 in profit. As shown, our campaign gives us an ROI of 109%, which is high enough for most people to take their money and run. We like to think we're more ambitious than that, which is why we believe there is even more potential for World Wildlife Foundation to grow. Next slide, please. With our revenue of $287,951, we have the potential to turn it into over $400,000 if we utilize the bonus mailer. And here's how.
Now, piggybacking off of Chris and following the overall flow of our campaign, everyone in our campaign who's donated through social media, text, or email has already done so, so they don't need the extra push. But this bonus mailer is not officially a part of the budget. However, it's meant as something to reinvest in, to convince straggling activists that feel the most comfy donating in person or manually. So the mailer has potential for big results. It's actually capable of bringing over $150,000 in profits because of the high response rate direct mail has on individuals. So ultimately, it's meant to maximize ROI. The quote from the beginning of the presentation applies again here. Next slide, please. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. So like I said, this exactly with this mailer is where it applies. Next slide, please. The bonus mailer, in essence, is a package that works as a solution to plastic pollution. In the case, it helps to inspire people to change themselves and their tendencies, their habits for plastic pollution in order to make an impact and change. So on the outside of the box, we mentioned that the key to the solution is no other but themselves. And our intention with this package is for activists to open it up and take action. Especially with the pandemic, people are washing their hands far more often. And we want to encourage people to eliminate purchasing soap in plastic containers and switch to our sustainable everyday solution instead. Our activists will receive a reusable glass forever bottle with the WWF logo. It'll stay on counters to remind people of WWF and that we provide a solution to plastic pollution. We'll also include a non-toxic soap tablet that dissolves in water to make foaming soap. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's a lot of waste in this package. Well, we wanted to be conscientious of that and eliminate it entirely. So our soap tablets are actually wrapped in seed paper, which can be planted to make beautiful gardens and attract bees. And additionally, our package wrapping is made entirely of recycled material and can be reused or recycled to go the extra mile and further eliminate waste. We want people to develop good habits, so we've also included coupons to buy additional soap tablets. And the mailer will include a letter that will explain and show how taking small steps in our planet can impact it. And seeing that we provide everyday solutions will make people more willing to support us financially. For convenience, we'll supply them with a prepaid return envelope so they can mail back their donations. Now, this bonus mailer is our final push for us to segment to those who aren't comfortable working with technology to give donations. So this mailer will help us follow through with our plastic pollution scope while offering activists to advocate in their household and for the world. Next slide, please.
Here is a cost breakdown of our bonus mailer, which offers two options for World Wildlife Foundation to choose from. The conservative option on the left would allow them to recoup the cost of our campaign by only using the profits to reinvest into the bonus mailer. The optimistic option on the right, as explained before, would utilize the total revenue from our campaign, which would bring in $447,675 in revenue. And we're able to achieve these numbers with the assistance of a 14.1% response rate. Next slide, please. The foundation of our campaign rests on maintaining a strong social media presence and sending a direct mail piece which will allow our message to be in the homes and always on the minds of World Wildlife Foundation supporters. With the direct mail piece having the highest response rate of our messaging avenues, we believe that it will make a worthwhile impact on our campaign. Our social media posts will be targeted based on previous petitions signed. For example, if Tyler had signed up to support the fight against plastic pollution, he would receive a targeted post about the actions World Wildlife Foundation has taken to curb plastic pollution. We will also be using texting and emailing to ensure that we reach people by their preferred method of communication. With research showing that text message ads have an open response rate of up to 98%, we are confident that our message will be seen by almost all 750,000 people we send it to. Utilizing email will allow us to receive the highest average donation at $60 among all of our 4 messaging avenues. Given the information we already have in our database, it will be relatively inexpensive to reach them utilizing these methods. Next slide, please.
Overall, our Drawing You to Sustainable Living multi-channel marketing campaign aims to convert activists into long-term donors. Because we recognize those who will care enough to donate for a cause already work with WWF, our strategy ensures that in some way our audience will have the motivation to donate for a cause. Additionally, our campaigns segment in a way where activists are capable and will donate whatever they're most comfortable doing. And we'll utilize our strength of WWF has, emotionally reaching out to our audiences and highlighting the causes which activists have already shown the most care for. With our campaign, people are able to make a difference with WWF in new ways that not only encourage a healthier lifestyle, but finally can impact the world. Next slide, please. Thank you for listening, and our team would like to leave you with this message. If we can draw ourselves to sustain, we can draw ourselves to make a change. Thank you again for listening. This has been our presentation.
Well done. And I got to say, I love your background.
Thank you.
I have a question. It's more of a general question. What inspired you to participate in this program and to kind of get involved in the fundraising and marketing side of the world?
Well, for me personally, I decided to join the MAXI campaign or competition, excuse me, mainly because I'm still learning what I want to do with my life, and I figured why not try to apply a hands-on opportunity to really understand if I want to do marketing as a career choice.
Wonderful. Chris, Tyler?
So personally, oh, thank you. So personally, I've always kind of had a passion for marketing, and ever since high school, I kind of knew that's what I wanted to do in college. And I really enjoy any opportunity I get to really get hands-on real world experience of it. And I figured there's no better opportunity than to, participate in something for a nonprofit personally.
I joined.
Considering the 4 judges of the 5 judges here are all in the nonprofit, great answer.
Thank you.
I was lucky to have the opportunity to have Professor P as for my 440 class, and that class gave me the most hands-on experience I've ever had in a college course. And I just wanted to extend it into building an actual marketing campaign so I could further my skills and just honestly help me grow into whatever future job I take.
And I was just going to say, you guys did a very nice job. Sorry, I have a cold. I'm losing my voice. And everything was very donor-centric, very well branded. I loved the kind of multi-generational approach from the kids art, really highlighting the older generation that has money to give and can participate and kind of convert to donors. What inspired you guys to start at kids to get you to get people to give money?
So ultimately, with our SWOT analysis, we found that our biggest strength for WWF was the emotional appeal. And we believed that, especially with COVID times, there were a lot of families that were looking for ways to get people in their household a lot more connected. And we thought, what better way, especially since we were starting our campaign out with social media, to reach everybody through that platform and to connect those families with that emotional draw, with the personal work from their own children.
Awesome.
If I could piggyback off Aaron, we also found a bunch of statistics supporting if kids support something and they're really into it passionately, like whether they're drawing or anything, their parents are around 25% more likely to either join in on that campaign or donate to it directly.
Awesome.
Great cradle to the grave strategy, which is what most nonprofits try and do, is get them in young and keep them throughout their life.
Hi, Thank you again for your time today. I wanted to say I really enjoyed how you kind of carried the photo content, contest content across the channels to engage people. That strong pillar content across channels is a really solid strategy. I wanted to ask you a little bit about where you got your numbers regarding text messages and open rates and how that helped you determine the investment in the different channels.
So with that relate.
You got this, Chris.
Thank you. So for the response rates, for most of them, we utilized the information that was given to us. With texting, I believe it was 0.10% response rate. And we decided to start with social media, and we wanted to utilize the most inexpensive forms of communication first, because it would allow us to cast a broader net. And then, as we narrow down, we can use more expensive forms of communication. And in reference to the 14.1%, which we were given 5%, but we did find a study that 14.1% is justified if a direct mailer is sent to people 45 years and older. So that's where we got that number.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions from the judges? No? Okay, then it's time for us to wrap up, and I'd like to thank Salisbury University for serving as presentation 2 today. I'd also like to thank our judges for being here with us, Stephanie, Les, and Katie. On behalf of the DMAW Board of Directors, thank you so much for serving as our judges today. And this concludes our competition. Salisbury University, you are free to go, and remember that we'll be sharing the results of the competition in the next few days, and judges, just please remain for a few moments.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.